Hello YouTube, this is Eclipsing Religion. For my first video, I wanted to share with you an email that I just wrote to a Jehovah's Witness. A couple of months ago, she approached me to do some witnessing on the light rail. I gave her some fairly obvious and formulaic responses about biblical consistency, things like, where did Cain's wife come from after he left the Garden of Eden? Things like that. She responded with a very long and well-researched email. I thought you guys might enjoy my reply to that email. It begins, "Hello Holly, thank you very much for your response. I don't know how often you witness, but it's clear you put your heart and your soul into it. You've done some research and you know your Bible fairly well. I am aware that many Jehovah's Witnesses believe that only they can go into heaven, and if you really do believe this, then not witnessing would be cruel indeed, because everyone does deserve a chance at going to heaven. I do have some important questions that do go to the heart of the matter of choosing a religious faith. To start, I do need to make a series of points. Number one, there are many different groups of religious believers that believe only they will go to heaven. Mormons, Muslims, Catholics, etc., they all have different ideas than you do, but they all believe that they have the one true faith. Number two, if God exists and heaven is a real place, only one of these religions are right and the rest are dangerous frauds, taking away people's chances of getting into heaven and misleading them with the false knowledge that their salvation is secure. Number three, given the variety of religions, no matter which religion is the right one, most people are currently believing in a false religion. But they believe that they're the ones with the truth, and everyone else is part of the grand falsehood. Number four, since as mentioned earlier, all these groups hold their convictions with zeal and passion, how can anyone in such a faith know if he or she is in the right one, or if they've been tricked by one of the many popular false faiths? Now you can't just say, I have faith that I'm right, because Mormons, Muslims, etc. have faith that they're right. Their faith is as strong as yours. You can't say, I have this holy book that proves I'm right, as Mormons, Muslims, etc. also have their holy book that proves they're right. You can't point to flaws in the other's books, because every holy book will have its flaws when seen through the eyes of a non-believer. You know this because you witness, and you see people like me, people who do not see through the eyes of faith, and they find flaws in the Bible, even though you can clearly see it as perfect. That perfect image you see is the same image a Muslim sees when he looks at his Quran. Now, the same goes for religious experiences. You can't just say, I felt God, or I've spoken to God. People of every faith have claimed spiritual experiences and contact with the divine. People of every religious group can claim that they have had contact with the one and true God. Now, what are we to do about this predicament? There is no apologetics argument for it, because everyone has their own apologetics arguments. There is no intellectual way to meet this challenge. How then, as a neutral person, am I to decide which faith to embrace? I feel like I'm at a shopping mall and each faith is calling out to me with some special deal. Since I can't pick a faith based on salvation, since all promise it, or avoiding hell, since all promise that they are the only way to avoid it, perhaps I can choose based on some other things. Things such as the requirements of the religion, or the social support structure that it offers. Now, your religion may have an excellent social and emotional support structure that works for you. That's great. It doesn't mean that it's the one true faith. Many people do not want to become part of the Watchtower Society because they don't like the idea of witnessing themselves, or they dislike abstaining from life-saving blood transfusions, or from voting, both of which your faith requires. I can get eternal salvation and a ticket out of hell from any Mormon church, and I'll only have to give up coffee and alcohol, both of which I'm currently abstaining from anyway, for my own reasons. Better still, I could attend an Episcopalian or Unitarian Universalism church. Both of these faiths have softened their edges. They provide solid social support systems and a hope for an afterlife, without providing any, prohibitions on harmless behaviors, or instilling its followers with a self-righteous attitude. With nobody compelling me to make any particular choice, I am free to pick whatever faith I please, although in this context, I think the idea of faith seems silly on its face. None at all is a much more compelling option, especially since the entire idea of heaven and hell are obviously fantasies rooted in death-fearing Bronze Age mythology. Now, you, on the other hand, are not so free. You're likely emotionally committed to the ideas as a way to make sense of your life, and you can't even imagine a reality without them. Furthermore, your social network, including very possibly your family, would respond very negatively, were you to consider leaving the faith behind or choosing a different one. Binded to your worldview, your friends, and your family, you can't possibly turn your back on it all now, can you? Yes. Yes, you can. Oh, I know it's unlikely, but it is always possible to start fresh. Once you truly comprehend these words by Emily Dickinson, quote, "that it may never come again is what makes life so sweet," unquote, then you can really appreciate what this life has to offer and take full advantage of it, rather than prostrating yourself to an invisible deity in the vain and morbid hope that all of your troubles will be solved once you're dead. Doesn't living life here now, while you still got it, sound so much more appealing and uplifting? Sure, life is sometimes painful and unjust, but can you really hope that a perfect God will somehow do better in the next world than in this one? Your personal journey in leaving faith may be fraught with a painful realization, but how could so much of my life have been a mistake? I suggest you read the book Losing Faith in Faith, From Preacher to Atheist by Dan Barker. That is a book that will help you sort through these difficulties as well as others, and it will also show you that non-believers can have a vibrant social support structure as well. Now, I don't mean to push my beliefs on you. All I'm doing is responding in kind. First, you reached out to me to share the good news. Now I'm reaching out to you to share my good news. While I sincerely hope that you will take these thoughts under consideration, I promise no consequences for you if you don't. There will be no hell, condemnation, or eternal punishment. If you remain, witnessing, all that will happen to you in your life is that it'll pretty much continue the same way it has now. And I suppose if you're more or less satisfied with that, you won't feel a compelling reason to shake things up. This principle is partly why, even though your belief system does promise eternal rewards and punishments, and you and your fellow witnesses evangelize it with a great zeal, most people that you encounter do not convert. Something to think about the next time you witness. Until next time, this is Eclipsing Religion.